Hi, my name is Karen Clark, and I will be teaching my lesson 2 or session 2 from my curriculum for the course, which is Music Theory for the Worship Leader, a synchronous online curriculum. So I will start teaching that now. So last week we discovered that we are learning that music is a language, and we are learning to decipher that language. We are learning that we need to learn that in order to read and to write music. So we worked on last week in your notebooks that music is written on a staff of lines and spaces, and then where the pitches are placed on those lines and spaces tells us what note to sing or to play. We also talked about the difference between the higher pitches and the lower pitches and how that affects the staff. We also talked about a grand staff, which is when the treble clef and the bass clef are put together on a staff and they run simultaneously together. We talked about last week how in piano music that the left hand plays the bass clef and the right hand plays the treble clef. And we also talked about some different instruments that only use a certain clef, and that there are other clefs, but we are going to concentrate on the treble clef and the bass clef only. So you've been working on those assignments and identifying where the pitches live. We talked about mnemonic devices for remembering the notes on the treble clef. And if you remember the lines, we came up with every good boy does fine, or every good boy deserves fudge. And the spaces in the treble clef spell the word face. And then we talked about the bass clef, how the lines in the bass clef, a saying for that could be, great big dogs fight animals. And for the spaces, all cows eat grass. And so we gave some things for our minds to grasp where those pitches are on the lines and the spaces to help us to really try to decipher pitches and where they live on the staff, and then in relation to a piano keyboard. And I have one in front of me here that we're going to play with today too. So I hope you were doing well with those lines and quizzing yourself and memorizing our little devices. And today we're going to move on to week 2. And hopefully you've had a chance to look at that. We're going to be talking about rhythm, because music is made up of pitches and rhythm and then form, how those, putting those together. So that's the 3 main things about music that we've been focusing on. So the second one is rhythm. So we are going to look at the different ways the duration of the notes affects how we sing and play the music. So if we had a bunch of notes on the lines in the spaces, that would be great. But it would to the musician or to somebody trying to playing it, we need a little more direction as to how long or how short to hold those notes. So we talked about having the treble clef and the bass clef. We've talked about those things. And then we talked about how the notes go on the lines and the spaces. Well, now we're going to talk about how we need to have measures in the grand staff. And that's the measures, that's the lines that divide musical phrases or thoughts. So in order to know how we're going to divide the music, we have to talk about time signatures today. And so the 2 major time signatures we're going to look at is 4/4 and 3/4. And you can see that in your book if you want to follow along with me in the Practical Lessons book. The top number tells you how many beats per measure, and the bottom number tells you what kind of note gets 1 count. The 1 beat, the main beat. And so in order for us to know how many beats per measure, we need to know what the time signature is. You'll find the time signature right directly to the right of a clef, and that will give you direction. And then the measures are divided, and you'll see how many beats you're allowed to have. So for today, we're just going to talk about 4/4 in this lesson. You're going to work with 3/4 later on. So now we know how many beats we're allowed. We've talked about the grand staff. We talked about having measures and the bar lines. And now we know that we have how many beats that we are allowed to have per measure. Now we need to talk about the notes, what they look like, and what they denote as far as duration of the pitch. And so the first note we're going to look at is the quarter note. The quarter note gets the beat, and that's what the bottom number of this tells me, 4. The quarter note gets the count, gets the beat. So a quarter note is 1 beat. So then we have, after that, the half note. The half note gets 2 beats. And you've been working on that in your notebooks, hopefully, already this week. So we have a quarter note, 1 beat. Half note, 2 beats. Then we have a whole note. which has no stem and is not colored in, it gets all 4. So if you look at the pictures, you can tell the difference between the notes. They look different, and that's what helps us determine while we're playing or singing how long we hold that pitch for. There's another type of note that we may or may not get to this week, but if we subdivide a beat, that means if this gets 1, this gets 4, this gets half of that, which is 2. Then the quarter note gets half of the half note, which is 1. We can subdivide this quarter note into 2 shorter notes, which are called eighth notes. And so I know some of you you've told me you've had some basic knowledge of music theory. And some of you told me that when you were young, you used to say quarter, 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 or ta, ta, ta. And so then you would break these into ta-ti, 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 or eighth notes. And so 2 of these eighth notes equal 1 quarter note. And so we're going to do some clapping together later on in our session. When we meet live, you're going to be working on some clapping and feeling that beat. I hope you're practicing that along with your lesson book. Just to correlate with that, we do have silence in music. So a quarter note looks like this, and a quarter note rest looks like that. That means silence, and I'll show you a way that you can clap that or think that so that you can give ample time, the correct duration of a beat to the quarter note rest, but that's the correlating rest for that pitch. For a half note, which gets 2 beats, the half note rest looks like this, and that means 2 beats of silence. And then the whole note, which gets 4 beats for our class today, this is a whole rest. It gets a whole 4 beats of all the beats of silence. So they have correlating notes. So that's the language of rests. And so you're going to be drawing those in your notebook today along with some of the notes we're working on. Okay, so we've got the music alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it starts over. We understand there's lines and spaces. So then we are working on the rhythm today. And so once we learn some of these rhythms, the goal is that you're going to be able to start thinking about playing the music and even writing your own melodies. Now, God's word says to come as a little child, so can you just be childlike a little bit today? Because I want to teach you how to go about creating your own rhythmic phrases today. But I want to use something that I use with my younger piano students, and it's kind of fun. So be a child, be childlike, and let's work on that. I have what I borrowed from Piano Safari, which is a company entity in itself, and they use animal names to denote rhythms. And so we're going to work on that today. So here we go. The first one is 4 quarter notes. They put it as Charlie Chipmunk. Say it with me. Charlie Chipmunk. Now clap it. Charlie Chipmunk. So that gives you the feel, the steadiness of how 4 quarter notes in a row feel, and you can feel that each one of them gets the beat. 1, 1, 1, 1, or quarter, 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 or ta, 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 or for us, Charlie Chipmunk. All right, so that's how I want you to start thinking about quarter notes. Charlie Chipmunk. For half notes, their animal is hippo. So half note, or hippo, hippo. So if you put those 2 together, it would be Charlie Chipmunk, hippo. Try it with me. Charlie Chipmunk, hippo. So that's our animal for half notes. Our animal for the whole note, which is all 4 beats, is going to be lion roar, or whole note, hold it. I learned it that way when I was taking piano as a young girl. So lion roar. So if then we put all 3 of those together, and I can't hold them and do that, but I think you can remember, it's Charlie Chipmunk, hippo, lion roar. And I tend to move my hand on feeling the subdivided beat of the quarter notes, even though I'm giving that note all 4 counts. So let's try it again. Ready? Charlie Chipmunk, hippo, lion roar. So that gives us our basic beats. Having fun yet, being a kid? Great, I want to throw another animal at you. It's combining our quarter notes and with a half note. And it's tall giraffe. Say it with me. Tall giraffe. Now let's clap it. Tall giraffe. And we got to hold that one out because it's a half note. Tall giraffe. And hold it with your hands. And then let's put that together at the end of our phrase. So we're going to do Charlie, chipmunk, hippo, lion, roar, tall giraffe. You ready to try it? Great, and you're going to have fun because you're going to actually make these flashcards this week, and you're going to be practicing how to clap them and putting your own phrases together. So I hope you have fun. If you have kids at home, you can try that with them as well. Ready? Charlie, 1, 2, ready. Charlie, chipmunk, hippo, lion, roar, tall giraffe. We made a nice phrase out of that. So what I want you to do is start working on those cards. Now let's talk about adding in that subdivided beat, which was the 2 eighth notes. So if your quarter notes are Charlie, chipmunk, Charlie, here's the eighth notes. Twice as fast. All right, so try that with me. We're going to do Charlie, chipmunk, and then go to eighth notes. Charlie, chipmunk. Ba, 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 ba. Good, do it one more time. Charlie, chipmunk. Ba, 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 ba. Good. I have an animal for you to help you remember a little bit of that. It's Zachariah zebra. So you have Zachariah zebra. Try it with me. Zachariah zebra. Now clap it. Zachariah zebra. So you can feel that subdivided eighth note feel in relation to your quarter notes. And then the last animal I have for you is, it's a repeated one, it's kangaroo, kangaroo. Try it. Kangaroo, kangaroo. So now I've given you a lot of options, and you'll see it there in your online notes. But what I want you to do this week is you're going to make your own set of cards with our animals. Kangaroo, Zachariah zebra, tall giraffe, lion roar, hippo, and Charlie chipmunk. And I want you to practice making 4-bar phrases, which would be 4 cards, 4 measures. The cards are now measures. I hope you understand how we just did that. So the cards are measures. And then I want you to put together 8-bar phrases or 8 measure phrases or 8 cards. So you'll need to make doubles of each one of these and come up with your own. And then you're also going to be doing some submitting those for me to look at and to hear. And then we're going to be doing them together in class. All right, so let's talk about just one more time what we're accomplishing here. We have talked about notes and pitches being on the grand staff, lines and spaces. We have now put together music, so it looks like something you may actually see when you open up a hymnal or a book, where it actually has treble and bass clef to it. I'm looking for one of those I had marked right now. So you can see what a grand staff looks like, and you'll see that in your course textbooks. But if you can see the treble clef, the bass clef, all the lines and the spaces, and it's 5 lines and spaces at the top, 5 lines and spaces at the bottom with space in between. Then we've talked about lines being on the spaces and the lines, the pitches being on the lines and the spaces. So we've got pitches, now we've got the rhythm, we're going to connect with it. So you're working on those this week. I just want to remind you that you need to make sure that you're doing your book doing the workbook in the musician theory book, and also in your practical theory book. They work together, and that gives you a lot more practice in creating the connections in your mind between reading music as a language and putting these ideas together so that you can eventually create your own melody. So make sure that you are doing the assignments. Look under week 2 and work on the cards, and make sure that you're ready for what we're going to do in the live session class. I hope you're having fun. I hope you remember that the music is a gift, and God's instilled within you that gift, and He's going to grow that gift. And so each week you're working on your assignments, you are growing that gift that God placed within you, and I will see you for our live session. God bless.